What's up, everyone, and welcome to Project Xtalk, episode 14, your weekly podcast all about Xbox. The podcast goes live every Sunday, so if you like that, make sure to subscribe to the channel on your favorite podcast service or right here on YouTube. My name's Kevin. I'm your host this week, and I'm joined, as usual, by Tom, Garrett,
hey,
and we have a special guest this week, Assassin Lupa, but we're just going to refer to him as Lupa, and Aman will be joining us later. Before we get any further, Lupa, how you doing today?
I'm doing well, thank you very much. Thanks for inviting me.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for coming on. If everyone is not familiar, you hang out on Mav's podcast, Fun Speculation, quite a bit. We see you over there. So before we get started, I did want everyone to remember that we're going to have some more short form content going. We were hoping to have videos up this week, but we've had a few technical issues. But please subscribe to the channel if you want more gameplay, some short videos, video essays, stuff like that. It's coming, we promise. But enough of that. We'll get into the podcast. We got some news, some Xbox to talk about. Before we get into the news, we're going to start with our segment. What you guys playing? Tom?
Right now, I'm playing a lot of Tetris Effect. It's really fun. It's co-op. They have a really fun battle mode. It's sort of like how it works in Tetris 99, where they just throws junk. So I have to handicap myself because my wife is terrible at Tetris. So I purposely I don't it doesn't hinder what I'm doing, but it just makes it so I'm throwing less trash on her end, and I still win every time. I feel so bad, but it's such a fun game. Its visuals are fun, and I want them to add a battle royale mode just like 99. It would be so cool.
I've jumped into the multiplayer with my brother and our friend, the one where we work three-person co-op to fight the CPU boss. That's pretty fun. I'm also terrible at Tetris, though, so it's a bit of a struggle. Garrett, what you got going on? What you playing over there?
I just finished the Hive Busters probably an hour and a half ago, and then I started up Will of the Wisps, and I'm just entering how to be vague enough, the first place after meeting a character right at the beginning. Yeah, but yeah, that's all I'm really up to right now. Loved Hive Busters, by the way. Very it's the prettiest DLC I've played in a while.
Oh, I think I lagged. Apologies. I did not hear most of what Garrett said. So I assume he is.
Was that everyone?
I don't know. Did everyone lag?
Oh. Yeah,
Okay.
I heard him.
Perfect.
Okay, well, I'm glad you're enjoying Hive Busters, even though I'm not sure what you said. Lupa, what you got going on?
I'm playing Valhalla, obviously.
Okay.
It's in the name. And also an amazing sleeper of a game called Immortals Phoenix Rising. A fantastic game, no bugs, very smooth gameplay, beautiful combat, beautiful artwork, nice music.
Yeah, our guest Luke Lore last week mentioned he was playing that, I believe, and that's something I'm still waiting to pick up. I'm waiting for it to go on sale. The lowest I've seen is $30. I think it can get lower, so I'm gonna grab a bargain for that one.
Definitely a good game.
For me personally, I just beat, and it's not an Xbox game, but I just beat God of War on PlayStation 5. Masterpiece of a game. Loved it. My only criticism is the enemies. There's 5 different types, and that's it. There's not very much variety with the enemies you fight in that game. But on the Xbox, I'm working my way through Dragon Quest still. It's very slow going. I think I'm almost, from what my brother tells me, halfway through the first act. So we'll keep going along with that. But I started a Way Out with Tom. We were doing a little co-op with that. You might see that on the channel. We had a good time. We had a good time breaking out of prison. That's on Game Pass, so I'm having a good time over here with my Xbox. So we will start moving into the news, and we have lots of juicy stories this week, guys. So news story number 1. Bethesda has announced that Machine Games is officially working on a new Indiana Jones game. From their official Twitter post, a new Indiana Jones game with an original story is in development from our studio at Machine Games and will be executive produced by Todd Howard in collaboration with Lucasfilm Games. It'll be some time before we have much more to reveal, but we're very excited to share today's news. Obviously, we just had that short little trailer, but I wanted to get your guys' initial reactions to Indiana Jones, Machine Games. You guys excited? How about you, Tom? I'm going to start with you.
I'm super excited. I'm glad that we're getting a Indiana Jones game by like a well-established developer instead of the Lego ones. I'm really excited, especially if it can come close to anything that Uncharted or Tomb Raider has done in the last couple of years. I know it's going to be a fantastic game. Machine Games, they are really good developers. I imagine this is going to be a really great game coming from them.
Garrett, what was your initial reaction to Indiana Jones?
I was muted. I would be really interested in seeing their the puzzle mechanics, because that would be sort of something new that I didn't notice too much in their other games. But I'm really excited because they're already some of the best Nazi killers around, and yeah, I'm super excited to play it.
Lupa, big Indiana Jones fan?
My husband is. I watch them with him, of course. But yeah, I'm excited for it. I notice it's going to be set in Rome, which is quite exciting. And it's a standalone game. And Machine Games do good stuff. And now, in accordance with Disney, but Lucasfilms, it should be pretty epic. And I hope they do a good job of it, unlike Fallout 76.
Well, obviously, it's going to be some time before we actually see more. Personally, I'm not the biggest Indiana Jones fan. I've only seen bits and pieces of the movie. They've never really appealed to me. Maybe it's because I'm a millennial in my generation, it kind of passed us by. But I'm wondering if this could be finally the third-person action adventure game that Xbox needs to compete with things like Uncharted over on PlayStation. Everyone's obviously first initial, at least my initial reaction, that it's probably going to play similar to that, which isn't a bad thing, seeing those games are critically well received. Do you guys think it's going to be exclusive? A question everyone's asking.
Honestly, with this one, I do not think it's going to be exclusive, especially with what they just did with Lucasfilms removing Star Wars exclusivity to EA. I feel like Lucasfilms wants this game in everyone's hands, and they don't want to be locked down. So I honestly I doubt that it's going to be just only on Xbox.
Garrett, Lupa?
I would say it's closer to 50-50, man. Just like thinking about it, because like that could have been a part of the deal, just like how Avowed sort of buttered up the whole mission statement with Obsidian when they were coming in. So I think it's going to be a lot more 50-50 than just Lucasfilms. I want it in everybody's hands. Because at the end of the day, putting it on Game Pass Ultimate, eventually, if they do achieve Xbox's little ultimate goal, that would be in everybody's hands. Right? So, that's...
Lupa, what are your feelings on this?
Well, I think that xCloud is going to be a big thing. It's going to be massive. And I think that it's probably, I'll agree with, I forgot his name, sorry, but
Garrett?
the other guy, Garrett, sorry, that it will be more 50-50. I should imagine that Xbox will want it to go to xCloud and PC, and therefore it will probably stay in the ecosystem.
I'm a bit torn on this one, and I'm basing this off just the fact that Sony did not retweet this. They did not hype this up at all. It was only Microsoft that was talking about this game, which was very odd if it was going to be a brand new big Lucasfilm game that's coming to everything. I found that a little strange, especially because we got that other announcements this week from them. They're working with Ubisoft, and I felt like everyone was retweeting that. And So that's my only me looking at Twitter and drawing conclusions that might not be there. It could just be that they don't want to retweet Machine Games and Bethesda. It's certainly possible. But
I
also,
think it's a big sign.
yeah. Another conclusion that I noticed is that the Lucasfilm Games is owned by Disney. Disney owns all the Star Wars, but they also own Marvel. And Marvel Spider-Man is exclusive to PlayStation. So they're clearly not scared to make exclusive deals with a platform.
All right, take it back.
I think we've convinced Tom over there. All right. Breaking news, Indiana Jones exclusive to the Xbox ecosystem, guys.
Yeah. Heard it here first, definitive.
Heard it here.
Definite.
We'll bookmark that when it's officially announced, when they close that deal.
Yeah.
I'm excited. I want to see what Machine Games can do with something that isn't that is more of a third person type game. I think it would be interesting. I'm not sure how well their engine that they use, because don't they use the ID or id or whatever. So I wonder, because that's usually used for first-person shooters. So I want to know how that's going to play if they do third-person, because I can't imagine Indiana Jones being first-person. That would just be very strange.
I think they're using Unreal, aren't they?
Are they?
I think so.
Okay, so it'll be a change of pace for them.
Mm-hmm. They used it for Dishonored 2. Dishonored 1, sorry, not 2. Dishonored 1.
Didn't Arcane make Dishonored?
Yeah, Arcane, sorry, yeah.
Yeah.
Got muddled up there a bit. But yeah, I mean, they might be using the newer engine with the newer software. Newer hardware.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I'm fine with them using Unreal if that gets them a better product. I don't think they should be tied to a specific engine just because it's what they've used in the past. But it sounds like we're all pretty excited for that game. We're going to see what happens. I don't imagine we'll be hearing anything for a couple more years on that. So we'll move into story number 2. And I've titled this one Delays, Delays, Delays. This has been a week of game announcements, but also delays. On Wednesday, Warner Brothers has announced that Hogwarts Legacy, the open-world RPG set in the Harry Potter universe, will be launching in 2022 as opposed to 2021, saying that we are giving the game the time it needs. The game was revealed first on the PlayStation 5 event back in the fall, and on that trailer it said 2021. Do you guys think it's weird that it's already been delayed, considering we're 2 weeks into January?
Not at all. I'm actually excited to hear about more delays. When they say that they want to make a finished product, I'm actually starting to have faith in them after the whole cyberpunk blunder, right? And I was excited for that change in the ecosystem personally. Can we not all agree that it would be so great if they actually didn't make us paid for beta testers? I wasn't really digging that for years.
I don't think anyone
if they
will
want to
argue.
take more time, great.
Are you bummed? Is this a game you're looking forward to? I don't know how big of Harry Potter fans you guys are.
I'm just curious about how they'd sort you into the houses. That's all.
Yeah, that'd be cool. I want to see how that works. I'm not mad that they're delaying the game though. It's supposed to be like a game as a service type of deal. I know that for sure. So with the blunders that we had with the Avengers game, Anthem, I mean, we really want to make sure that these games as a service games are actually well packed with content, so they don't fail at launch. I know for no one's gonna go back to Avengers even if they fix the game at this point. So you have to right out of the gate have good gameplay, good content, and keep people around.
Lupa, what's your feelings on the Harry Potter delay? Is this a game that you were looking forward to in 2021?
Yes, I was. But with plenty to play on the Xbox. Xbox has no games. Maybe not
Yeah,
anymore.
I
We
get
have
lost
plenty
in
of
it.
games to play, but I really am looking forward to it. I'm glad they've delayed it. Any game this year that's delayed, the situation in the world, I believe that it's a good choice. As I was glad, I thought Xbox was brave to delay Halo, and I'm glad that they are delaying it because I want to go back to the days when you pick up a game and you can play it and it's playable and it's good. That would be a really nice thing to go back to, I think. So I don't care about time. If they need the time, take the time, in my opinion.
No, I
And the
think we.
sorting hat will sort out what house you'll be in.
I think they should make every player take a little quiz before they start the game to kind of sort you into the house, and then they'll put the hat on you, and they'll just know your results, and they'll throw you into the appropriate house.
I'm
Yeah,
already in
but I was hoping
Gryffindor.
for something a little bit deeper than that. Like, hopefully, like through the tutorial, when you're getting used to all the in-game mechanics on your way to the Sorting Hat, they have like tiny little moral choices.
Did you
Okay.
know that there's an
Like, I
actual
think
thing
that
you
would be
can do
sweet.
online
Yeah.
that you can, and it puts you in the house after you've answered all the questions, and there's tons of them. It
Yeah.
puts you in
Oh,
the
really?
house.
Yep, that's how I
I
I
did a
got one
few
of
of
my
like
wife's
the
Christmas
Facebook
gifts
ones
this year.
back in the
I
day.
found out she was Slytherin, so I got her like the Slytherin purse. Actually, it's right over here.
Oh, nice, nice.
Ooh. That's kind of where I
Oh,
drew
that's a
inspiration.
builder's bum.
Slytherin.
That's
Wow.
awesome.
I mean, I'm personally not a Harry Potter fan. This isn't a game I was like craving. I'm gonna play devil's advocate on all these topics. Apparently, try to convince you guys. Do we think that J.K. Rowling's Twitter tirades have anything to do with this? Do you think they want to put a little distance in between actually releasing the game and her controversy?
Hopefully. Woman's a nightmare.
Yeah, like I don't know. I guess that would be on the table, but regarding 2021, dude, that was like a blip. Or 2020, sorry, I mean.
Mhm.
But yeah, I didn't think that would be on the table too much.
I don't know. I don't think it's over. I think she still. I think she still goes on about it. Doesn't she have a new book coming out that is pretty transphobic?
Yeah.
Oh, really?
They just have to ban her on Twitter.
Did they?
Yeah, no,
No, I said
that's a thing now.
I said they
That's a
have
thing
to.
now.
Oh, that is how we solve things.
Yeah.
It's just a thought I had personally. If the game needs more time, then take all the time they need. Certainly with COVID not slowing down anytime soon, they can probably use the extra time. They're gonna be working from home, but it was just a thought I had regarding it. In another delay we had actually came today from Ubisoft. They announced that their open world extreme sports massive multiplayer playground game Riders Republic has been delayed until late 2021. It was set to come out next month on the 25th, but the game has been delayed, and Ubisoft says the additional time will allow our passionate team to deliver the best fun-fueled experience to our players. Is this a game that any of you were looking forward to? It was kind of like extreme mountain bike. I don't even gliding. There were just so many extreme sports in there that I think it was really they wanted to capture playing with your friends and doing ridiculous things.
Not interested at all. It's like that one snowboarding game that Ubisoft dropped a while ago that you were able to do a bunch of stuff off the mountain, like I think paragliding,
Oh,
snowboarding.
Slopers.
I forgot what it was
Yeah.
called. It was a super forgettable game, and I'm not gonna play this either.
I think that it will be a fun game to put into community game night we have with Mr. Tushy every Saturday night. If it's a multiplayer, and seeing as Ubisoft is going to Game Pass, that would be nice to have another multiplayer in there.
Maybe coming to
Very
Game
bold
Pass.
statement.
It is.
We're just breaking all the news here so confidently.
I have some
Yeah.
very good friends in the industry who I trust.
Yeah, no, it's. I hope so. So I'll take your word for it. But yeah, I don't know. Personally, I have a high standard on those games, but I really want it to succeed because from what you see in the trailers, that does look like a hell of a lot of fun playing that with your friends, like going down a mountain or doing a trail with all just your buddies going hard at it. So I hope it does well, but I also have a high standard for those.
It's
So
not a game I would play on my own,
yeah,
but if it's a multiplayer that we can all have a fun in, I mean, we have some amazing times on community game nights, Saturday nights. We have a real blast. So if we can all get in there and play, like, we're a bit upset that you can only get 4 to a ship in Sea of Thieves. We want our own server. Because there's about 20 to 25 of us. So if we
okay.
had our own server, it would be pretty cool. But it's not a thing at the moment. So, but yeah, if it's a good fun multiplayer, I'm all in. Anything different for a laugh in multiplayer.
Well, I'm not sure what type of game. It didn't interest me too much when I saw the original reveal. I do like snowboarding, like SSX and back in the day. Those were really great. I would love something similar to that, but I don't know how I feel about like a giant battle royale extreme sports title. But if it comes to Game Pass, certainly something I could check out for a fun night with the friends. The last delay we're going to talk about, and I'm calling it a delay. You guys can feel free to disagree with me, but Cyberpunk 2077 has been delayed again. Obviously, I'm teasing a little here, but we basically have to call it a delay, right? It's not playable for a vast majority of people, especially those on base old previous gen consoles. So last night, CD Projekt Red co-founder Marcin Iwinski, I'm not sure how to say his name, released an apology, and I use that term loosely, video, and provided a roadmap for content coming in 2021. It doesn't have any months listed, but it does show that there's 2 patches coming shortly after the 2021 square, and then just a big wide range of, content and upgrades coming, including free DLCs coming about like the middle of the year, it looks like. And then the next gen console updates will be coming towards the end of this year. First off, it's kind of, I have 2 things I want to address. Did you guys watch the apology video? And what are your feelings about it?
I've only watched the parody to the apology. So I have no idea what happened to the apology.
Yeah,
I'll have to
I
check
don't
that
know.
out. Did you watch
2
it,
years
Garrett?
ago, I stopped watching apology videos. They're just so overrated. Person comes out, gives some little spiel on it, but like I don't know. If anything, like I looked at like the little picture, and for when they were saying like the whole Xbox Series X, PS5 optimized version, for it to be a year out, like, dude, you
It's so
guys
late.
really didn't have your stuff together when you were releasing that. Like, I thought the issue wasn't as big, but that's sort of hinting to, at least to me, that it was a lot more pushed at the end. Like, I thought it was a little funny that there was just, maybe it was just a huge obvious slip in the cracks on the older versions. Like, they were saying they were only showing the Series X versions. I'm not in the boardroom. Maybe it was a huge mess up mistake that only a few people actually knew truly how bad it was. But with the whole year out, this is a bit of a bigger thing than I thought, at least.
Yeah, I think you're hitting the nail on the head there. I think I tweeted from the Project Xtalk Twitter account that clearly, based on this timeline, the game should have been delayed another year at least. That would allow them to, maybe make the past gen versions playable. Although even with all their upgrades and stuff, if you watch the video, they don't seem to have a grasp of what the actual issues are. It sounded like a lot of word soup PR talk. They don't actually address any of the main criticisms of the previous gen versions. And I honestly don't have faith that they're going to even finish making the last gen playable. If anything, they might as well just scrap those and go to the next gen. And I know that might be controversial because everyone is still playing on the last gen for the most part, but this game clearly doesn't work on the last gens, and I don't think they're going to get it to work even with this amount of time. You look at the PS4 base version, the game is a mess. I cannot possibly see how you're going to have that fixed in 6 months or 8 months when you drop the next gen version. And if you drop free DLCs in the next gen version before you fix everything in the previous gen, people are just going to be more angry. And how are you going to work on DLC that is probably going to be broken as well?
I fully agree with that. What do you think, Lupa?
Well, I think the apology made it worse. It was worded all wrong. It was really bad. I decided way back in November, I had Valhalla, I had Immortals coming, which is made by the Quebec team that made Assassin's Creed Odyssey. So I knew about it back just about a few months before Odyssey released. And I'd been following that. And then there was Watch Dogs, and I didn't like the first two, so I left that. I thought, no, I'll get that later in a sale. And Cyberpunk, I was hyped for it, but I thought, I think I'll leave it and I'll wait for the next gen patch. And now the next gen patch is a long way off, but hey, I can still wait for it. But I think CD Projekt Red are a really consumer friendly studio. I think everybody forgets that The Witcher 3 released with a lot of bugs. They made that right. It's now most people's game of the gen. So I think that they will do right by us. They will put it right. And I'm glad they're taking the time to do so. I do believe the publishers were the ones that pushed them to release. I don't think they were ready. I also think with the cross-gen effect that they were making it for that gen, and then they were told it's coming out on next gen also, and that messed it all up for them. And then they worked solely on next gen and forgot about last gen a little bit. So most people I've spoken to, if they're on old consoles, they're having a problem, and the people that are on the Series X aren't having that much of a problem. The odd floating pen or something silly, but I think it will get sorted. But I do think whoever wrote that apology, oh my gosh, they need to be fired.
Well, I'm kind of waiting for lots of heads to roll over there with this fiasco, but I have no doubt that they'll eventually make the game right for the most part. I have doubts that the PS4 base version is ever going to be anywhere close to good. I think it's still going to be an utterly bad game. I don't think you can fix what they currently have, but I think for everything else that they can salvage, I'm sure they can get it to a state that is passable, is playable, and people could enjoy it. But in a year, based on what we've seen, I don't think a year is enough time, especially if they're going to work on DLC and the next gen version.
I think they should be focusing more on the base game at the moment and forget the DLC personally. And I think that like they gave us free DLC for The Witcher 3, and I think they'll do the same to make everybody happy with Cyberpunk. Sorry, I do think that I think they were in a turmoil. I think if they knew if they can get their head round working out the tools, the GDK, I think they will eventually get there. Whether a year's enough or not, I don't know. I'm not a dev, so I wouldn't know. But I do wish people would stop bashing on them. They're doing their best in this COVID time, and it's pretty hard for devs to make games in this situation. Very hard, and people should think more about that and lay off them a bit. They don't need death threats and rubbish. It's a game.
Yeah, that's way
Sake.
too far.
Well, the developers, it's not their fault. This
No.
decision, they even say in the video, the developers had nothing to do with the decision to release the game in the state that it currently was put out in.
Mm-hmm. This is
So,
true.
I
It's
think
all about money and greed, as usual.
Yeah. And
I
like,
think-
I don't know, I think some of the bit of the tanking of the game at the end, well, not tanking, I should say, but the disoptimization is, do you guys remember about 6, 7 months before the game came out how they were cutting out some features?
Mhm.
Yeah, quite a bit of features.
I think that like disbalanced the game, and they like had it as good as it is now before that came out, but they wanted to further optimize it. Then when they cut those features out, it was they were patching the band-aids on it, right? And some of that DLC that we're going to be seeing here in the next bit is just going to be those features in a final form, so to say.
A lot of people said to me that there's a lot of content missing that was expected to be there. So I can only go by what they tell me, as I haven't played the game.
It's an okay game, honestly.
Now recording.
My main concern with the game, though, was not really the bugs. It was like actual functional issues with the game itself, like the AI not being
Now
good.
recording.
Not recording twice. Okay, Craig.
Yeah, we get it.
That's enough out of you there, bud.
Yeah, he's been really bad for like the last couple weeks.
he's having some issues here, but we'll see what happens with Cyberpunk. I obviously don't think any developers should be attacked. I'm just very skeptical of the timeline they put out and think their apology is a load of crap personally, but if it appeases some of the fan base, then I guess it meets its goal. We will move on from the negativity that is Cyberpunk and game delays to our third story and our final story this week. I'm pulling from Dina Bass over at Bloomberg. She wrote an amazing article called Xbox, the Oral History of an American Video Game Empire. You guys should definitely check it out. Go read it. It's pretty long, so if you have some time and you want to read about Xbox. But to celebrate 20 years of Xbox, because this year is the 20th year of Xbox, Bloomberg did a very in-depth article about the history of the console. Part of the article details about how Microsoft approached companies like EA, Sega, Square, which is now Square Enix, and Midway Games, who made Mortal Kombat, their rest in peace, now NetherRealm, to secure games from companies, but also to acquire some of them. Two of the companies that they looked to acquire were EA and Nintendo, who both said no. But from the sounds of it, Nintendo basically laughed them out of the room when they approached them. Apparently, there was a letter of intent to buy Square, and they pulled out. And Midway pulled out as they needed sales from PlayStation for Mortal Kombat. They ultimately ended up buying Bungie from Undertake 2's nose, which I did not know about. And the rest is history. But I wanted to get your guys' thoughts on this nice little tidbit we got here. Obviously, Microsoft hasn't changed their ways. They're still buying studios for their console. But buying Nintendo is a whole nother thing. What are your thoughts about this, guys?
If they purchased Nintendo, Xbox would be like the undisputed champion of the console wars, like all the time. They would have Mario, Link. They would have Kirby. They're just like so many Nintendo games that they have now. The question is like, whether or not they would have managed them well and made them like to the standards that Nintendo would have kept it. That's a separate argument. But definitely just having all those franchises under the belt would have been great. EA as well. If they were able to secure like all EA Sports games at that point too, like they would hold the monopoly for like Madden, FIFA. So that's just like a whole big separate audience that they would also have. There's like it would have been cool and interesting, but at the same time for the Nintendo thing, I don't think it would have been good for the whole like aspect of competition. I feel like it's just a two-man competition. It's just gonna be like a lot of back and forth. Like Nintendo is always like that guy that just comes in from the side, like, "Hey, these two guys are like boxing it out," and they're just coming out. Look what I got! I got a Switch. You know, like just they come up with the most random stuff. We need that innovation from Nintendo, even if they're like the secondary console.
You frozen?
Yeah,
Oh,
froze.
and that face though.
That
The
Oh.
face
face.
is great.
Did I freeze?
Oh man, I hope his end is recording this. That'd be great. You froze, Tom.
Oh, it's fine. I recorded everything. You guys will hear it on the
Oh,
podcast.
damn it.
Oh man, I wanted them to see our view of your face. You were frozen in a great position, but
Yeah.
train wreck going on over here with the audio recording freezing. Yeah. So Garrett, Lupa, Nintendo, Microsoft.
I think that they will never buy Nintendo
No.
ever. It's not a done thing. EA Play is already in Game Pass, and I believe the reason for that is because EA Play was failing massively. They weren't getting the figures, they weren't getting the subs, and it's exactly the same with
Uplay.
Uplay. So I think that they will get Uplay eventually, and Uplay and EA in Game Pass is making it massive because, as Tom said, all of the sports games are right there at hand, and Titanfall, which if you've ever played Titanfall on the Series X, oh my gosh, it will blow your mind, as does Halo MCC. You've got
Mhm.
field of view you can adjust, which makes it amazing. And we've played it quite a few times now, and I've played it, and it really looks and plays well. And I think that without them going to Game Pass, I think they'll just die off because they're not getting the subs that they need. But as regards to buying Nintendo, no, that's a no. That's not going to happen. Nintendo do their own thing. They make it work. And by the way, Tom, it's not Link, it's Zelda. For your information, you cannot
Well,
call
Link.
Zelda Link.
Wow. Wow.
Sorry for saying the proper name. I apologize.
Yeah, I hope so. Because I'm a massive Zelda fan. It's the only reason I have had every SNES, every DS, everything Nintendo ever brought out was because I've played every single Zelda game. I do wish that they did have a standalone home console, not basically a handheld that you can dock.
Switch Pro.
Yeah, I'm
Switch
hoping that
Pro coming
that's gonna.
2021.
Well, they already have the Lite, which is
Mhm.
fully handheld, and I think that takes the place of the DS.
Yeah.
Uh, so I don't think the home console needs to be handheld. I think that a Switch Pro that will be just home based might be better, and they might be able to get some better, faster FPS and some better graphics maybe. But what they do well. I mean, they win in sales all the time. But I was quite surprised this year. I was so shocked. I nearly passed out. I swooned because Nintendo had a sale for New Year. Oh my gosh. I was so shocked. They never put anything on sale. You never get anything off. And Luigi's Mansion, instead of going for the £50 it normally does, was going for 33. And you could buy two vouchers, if you want to call them that, for £84, and you could buy two of their top newest games that were out, which cost over 100 or £100. So we saved £16. So that was fantastic. I did not like the way that they made All Stars for Mario's 35th birthday only timed till March. I thought that was a disgusting move.
Well,
And the
Mario
same,
dies in April.
yeah. Well, he's it's going to the end of March, and then you can't buy it anymore. And I'm just hoping on the same thing they give Zelda the same treatment because it's her 35th coming up February. So Mario's will end, and hopefully we'll get 3 Zelda games that you can't play on the Switch at the moment in a package also. But I hope they don't do it timed, because I think that's just disgusting. But yeah, so I do think that Uplay will come to Game Pass. I think Game Pass is going to be bigger than anybody ever thought. I think they will carry on buying studios. I think that Xbox is on that run now. They bought Minecraft 2014 for 2.5 billion. They've now bought ZeniMax for 7.5 billion. They're not short of a bit of cash, is our Microsoft.
Garrett, how would you have reacted early 2000s to Microsoft buying Nintendo or EA or any of these studios?
I don't know. I'm sort of like a Remembrance Day kind of guy. That would have been scary if they bought Nintendo back in the day. I'm glad that they didn't, because like they didn't have they had a good reputation in the beginning, and like Xbox 360 was the glory days, but there was definitely gray bits in their history, right? So as Tom was saying before, I'm not sure how those would have held up over the years, being all compressed with Master Chief and Dead Rising and all the other games that were always a part of the Halo family. I'm not sure how they would have stood up all together. So I'm glad that purchase didn't happen. But like Lupo was saying, who knows what's going to happen in the next year or two, really, with purchases. There's literally nothing that I can't see anymore.
Well, I can guarantee you they're not buying Nintendo.
No. I think the most interesting purchase for me would have been if they bought Square, just because I would have loved. I love all those JRPGs they have. But again, putting myself back in 2000 mode, if Microsoft bought any of these developers or Nintendo, I probably would not have cared in 2000 since I was a heavy PlayStation fan anyways, and I probably wouldn't and later on, I'm sure it would have been like, oh, I have all this big backlog of games, but just 2000, you would have not really cared. And we also would have probably never gotten Master Chief if they did get Nintendo. It's why would they have to go out of their way to buy Bungie at that point?
They wouldn't have had to make a mascot. They would have Mario ready to go.
Yeah.
Since the talk was essentially they came in and said, your hardware is garbage compared to PlayStation. We can make you hardware that isn't garbage. Just let us buy you and have all your Mario and everything. And Nintendo laughed them out of the room. I was only a Nintendo kid. So back in the early 2000s, I would have been super upset if Nintendo got bought and scared that possibly all the franchises I love would go away, since Microsoft kind of had a thing for starting projects and then just abandoning them, kind of like how Google does now. Actually, Google starts stuff and just gives up on it after 6 months. But Microsoft is kind of seen as that invasive person just coming into the industry with Xbox, and ultimately it worked out. But I agree with you that Square would have been amazing acquisition. Imagine having Square as a first-party studio from the early 2000s to now, Final Fantasy exclusive, all their JRPGs exclusive. It definitely would have helped them sell in Japan, which they do not sell in Japan at all. So it's just funny looking back how things could have been so much different. Not to say that I don't love the Xbox we currently have, because I do, but if they had acquired some of these studios, we could be looking at a very different ecosystem and a different place in time for gamers.
I got one more thing on that. Did they not approach Sega? They had their failing Dreamcast right around that era. They could have probably purchased Sega in the early 2000s. Was that not a thing in that article?
Sega. No, it is. And from what I remember reading, Sega told them that they didn't believe in Xbox because they had just had a failed. They basically thought you can't compete with Nintendo and PlayStation. Why would we yeah, why would we just had a console fail? Why the hell would you work? You were not in games, so why would we let that happen? They're just going to put their stuff on everything. Is basically how it went. Obviously, I'm paraphrasing and reading between the lines, but Sega were not interested. But EA was well regarded back in the early 2000s. People did not hate their sports games like they do now for microtransactions, and so EA would have been huge too.
Sega has two parts, doesn't it? It has the Japanese half and the American half, and the Japanese half came down very hard on the American half and wouldn't let them do anything they wanted to do. So I should imagine the Japanese Sega told the American Sega, "Don't you dare!"
Certainly
like
possible.
But they're
Japanese.
in cahoots. They are in cahoots, Xbox and Sega. They're
Yeah.
in each other's pockets very much at the moment.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It's all going
They're
to come
very
to
friendly.
fruition when the orange controller comes out next month.
Mm-hmm.
You mean the orange controller?
The orange controller.
Yeah, because they got Sonic, Knuckles, and
Tails
Tails.
is yellow,
Liquid
though.
orange.
Tails isn't
Was it
yellow, he's
yellow?
orange.
Tails
He's
is yellow.
orange. He's orange.
Sorry.
Oh my god!
I'm googling this.
You're colorblind.
Like
He's orange.
Gold.
Yeah, like
Oh,
He's
I
a
can't.
fox.
don't you Mandela affect me.
I can't read this.
He's a fox. He's orange, and he's got.
Yeah,
the
dude,
white-
he's orange. No, it's
I
happening.
disagree. I do not see orange. I have never
By the
once
way, I
thought.
hate that damn blue hedgehog.
No, dude, he's purple.
Firing shots at Sonic. I mean, I like Shadow the Hedgehog personally, but it's because I was an
Yeah.
edgy teen.
He killed, okay?
He
That
had
was
a
awesome.
gun.
He was a murderous guy.
Can't wait to replay Shadow the Hedgehog on Game Pass when they buy Sega. I'm sure that's going to hold up.
I hope they don't. Who needs a blue hedgehog in your life?
Oh, Sega has so much more though. They got Persona and Yakuza.
Yeah,
They would,
not a fan
it
of
would be
either.
great. Oh,
No.
she's firing shots.
I
She
am.
does.
Yeah,
Because-
Yakuza low-key stole my heart. It's a great game. I would justify the purchase just off of Yakuza.
Most people would, but I prefer Mafia.
All right. Now that we know she hates Sega and hedgehogs.
Just the blue hedgehog. I don't hate Sega. No, the blue hedgehog just drives me mad. It used to get on my. I used to get so frustrated with it. There's my son whizzing round, doing everything he could to get every ring and do it perfectly, and there's me just dying all the time.
I loved Sonic back in the day. It would not bother me at all if we got every Sonic game on Game Pass.
I
But
haven't got the most favorite. It's not the most favored thing I say. I must say. But it's still I'm truthful, and the truth is I can't stand the blue hedgehog.
well, on that note, we'll move past the news into rumors, and we got a few rumors this week. Rumor number one is Fall Guys coming to Game Pass soon. The writing could be on the wall. Well, the tweet. The official Xbox UK Twitter account basically tweeted asking, reply to our tweet, we'll give you a Game Pass recommendation. And then the official Fall Guys Twitter responded, can I play? Prompting a fun response, but also prompting fans to speculate Fall Guys could soon be on its way to Xbox Game Pass. Fall Guys, obviously the breakout hit for PlayStation and PC back in 2020. It did have an exclusivity deal with PlayStation, which they've confirmed. But if the game came out in February and most deals are 1 year, it's pretty suspicious that they're now interacting. And with February right around the corner, we could see a port over to Xbox. What do you guys think? Are we reading too much into this? You think Fall Guys is on its way over to the green brand?
I wouldn't be
Yeah, I think so.
surprised. Not at this point.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. But I don't know, the PlayStation guys are really a few people I've talked to. They're just oh yeah, you guys are so glad that you're gonna get Fall Guys. I might play a season. Do you still play Fall Guys? Well, no. But well, see. I think people are making this way bigger than it necessarily needs to be.
I think that as a multiplayer, again, a game night for playing with friends,
Yeah.
it'll be fun.
Mhm.
But it will die off pretty quickly as it has already. Among Us is stronger that's definitely coming to Game Pass very soon.
Yeah, they've already announced that.
I don't think, I don't know, Fall Guys is a game that you'll play, and after not being able to get that damn crown after a few times, you're able to wrap your hand in. I don't know. But they do want you to notify them on their Discord and Twitter if you would like it to come to Xbox, and then they're going to take it from there.
All right. Well, I've seen lots of people online saying that they do want it. I would personally love it on Xbox. I have it on PC. I put about 35, 40 hours into it because I could get crowns.
That's so many hours.
I loved that.
I quit the game like in 2 hours.
I had so much fun. And just to bring it back to our previous target, I went in and grinded out 10 crowns in 3 days just to buy the Sonic the Hedgehog outfit. I am a fat blue bean running through those levels. I haven't touched this in season 2, but I would come back if they found a way to bring it to Xbox. I'd be a little disappointed if I can't somehow bring my PC stuff over, which will probably be the case. I don't know if they have that capability, but I would love it. I would go back in. I would have fun again. It's just an easy, enjoyable game to have fun in.
Did you see Dr. Lupo's stream where he streamed for charity and he did something like 27 crowns in 3 or 4 hours?
No, I definitely haven't gotten that many.
He's absolutely nuts at it.
That's insane.
He is absolutely unbelievable at it. But the only way I would enjoy it would be with friends as a multiplayer, having a laugh. To be fair,
it's definitely a silly game. And then, like we said, Among Us is coming, and I cannot wait for community game nights for that. I definitely want to get everyone together and have some Among Us because it's so much easier than PC where you have to play in Discord and just be party chat. It's built for Xbox, so I'm really excited for Among Us.
Saying that, Fault Boy from GBTB, we play with him, and we do party chat, but play on our PCs or our phones at the same time. So we don't have to be in chat with with the actual game. And we do have a blast with that. I can't wait till it comes to Game Pass because another community game night game. So it's all diverse. I think the only thing that Game Pass will be missing really is a kart racer like Sonic All Stars or Bandicoot, one of those, because that's like at the moment, Noof Nukem was doing a game night. He wanted me to join, and he was playing Sonic, the kart racer.
Yeah.
Yes, not All Stars, Team Racing. I'm sorry, and they wanted £60 for it. I'm like, no.
What?
£60 it was going to cost me in the UK to buy Sonic Team Racing, and I was like, Noof, I'll drop out this one, thanks, mate, because no, I'm not paying £60 for that. But if it was in Game Pass, I'd be all in.
Yeah, I would love Crash Team Racing or Nitro Fuel, whichever one they want to throw in there. I don't care. I love both the Crash ones. I enjoy the Sonic ones too. Personally, I like that Sonic. I don't know if anybody played it. The Sonic. We're talking a lot about Sonic this episode, but the Sonic racing game where you like basically rode a hoverboard. Now that was a fun one. I enjoyed that a lot.
You don't need to keep saying Sonic to wind me up. I know that what you're doing.
It's all ruse.
Go back to Crash Bandicoot teammates. That's really good.
Great game.
Nitro Fuel.
Great game. Love that. We'll see if Fall Guys comes. Rumor number 2 is coming from Gaming Route and Kit Gaba over there. It's kind of a follow-up to our story that we reported last week where Dishonored co-creator is working with Arcane Austin on a new project. There's speculation of what type of game it could be. It looks like it's going to be a new IP, according to Lisa Charriers, a VFX artist at Arcane's LinkedIn page of all things, where she says that they're currently working on a new fantasy game using the Unreal Engine. Not saying that these stories are connected, but if he's working with Arcane Austin, she works there, and this is a new IP they're working on, it's very well possible that he could be making a new fantasy game.
I hope so. I love fantasy games. I'm a
Me too.
Fable mad, I am. So I can't wait for Fable. But yeah, I think that it would be really cool. I couldn't say her name either, even after reading it 3 times. I couldn't say her name. But yeah, I saw the article, and they made Prey and
And
Dishonored,
yep.
where I got confused earlier because I'd just read that and it was in my mind. But yeah, I played Dishonored. I really liked it. Hopefully, it will be on the Unreal Engine. And I think that, if it's a fantasy game, what type? Will it be like Avowed fantasy, or will it be like Fable fantasy? I don't know.
I'm
Can't
in
imagine what
regardless.
Yeah, me too, to be fair. I'm so looking forward to Fable. It's still going to be like 2 years out, I reckon, with all this COVID stuff going on, but I am looking forward to it. So I don't know how long they've been making it. A couple of years, did she say? I can't remember. She's been there a couple of years.
Yeah, I don't have that in my notes. It's very well possible, but obviously I'm pulling from a LinkedIn page, and that could be a whole list of things.
Yeah. No, I
But
do hope it is a new IP fantasy, because I think it's needed. That's why Immortals is so good. Phoenix is an amazing game, and you said about another game only having like God of War only having like 5 different monsters you had to fight. You've got so much different stuff in Phoenix Immortals Rising. There is like a new boss around every corner. There's harpies, griffins, cyclopses. Oh, it's pretty cool. So maybe it'll be something similar in, like, because Phoenix is a cross between Breath of the Wild and Assassin's Creed for sure, but they're not ashamed of it. They're not hiding it in any way. It's totally out there, and hopefully, if they do make a fantasy, it will be something completely different. But I can't imagine what. Lord of the Rings has been done, Zelda's been done, Fable's been done, Avowed, similar to Sky. What's it called? Bethesda one. I've forgotten the name of
Elder
it.
Scrolls.
Elder Scrolls, yeah, and that sort of thing. I don't know. It's very hard, isn't it, to find another fantasy that hasn't been done.
Yeah, the settings is really hard to touch on. There's just so many. So it's interesting to see like what they come up with. I would prefer like more high fantasy, just like Fable, because I think it's fun, cute, art style as well, and it's not really done overly. And I wouldn't. Yeah, it's. I feel like something like that would be good, but I guess we'll just keep our eyes on this one and see what ends up coming from this.
Definitely, I'd like something unique. I don't want it to be compared to Avowed or Fable. I want it to be its own thing. But certainly, Xbox turning into the home for RPGs.
That's a good thing.
It is a good thing. I love
Just a
RPGs.
multiplayer platform now.
Rumor number 3: Jez Corden from Windows Central reports Microsoft supposedly met with every major publisher regarding Game Pass. I think this one is pretty much a guarantee. I know we're calling it a rumor, but they've definitely met with Ubisoft. Those rumors seem pretty concrete, and I imagine they've met with everyone else to try to get them to bring games to Game Pass.
Definitely.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, that they're gonna keep churning out a bunch of both new and older titles. I mean, you have to make that connection. If you don't have it, then you're not gonna get games. So it makes sense.
Yep. I'm an indie fan, and if they get Hades, that will be a coup.
Well, that's funny you say that, because rumor number 4 and 5 coming from Nick Baker over Xbox Era. Rumor has it Hades is coming to Xbox later this year. And
That
Killer
would be
Instinct's looking to make a comeback. I don't know about that Killer Instinct one. Again,
No.
basically dead. It's not very well received in fighting game community. So we're just gonna ignore that part. I don't think that is accurate at all, but I could definitely see Hades coming over to Xbox and coming to Game Pass.
Well, it was in Game of the Year, and it was also Indie Game of the Year. So I can see it. But I do think it's, from what I've been told, because I don't really play PC, Among Us is all I really play on PC, because I like my big 55-inch CX OLED. So I don't really like playing on a stupid little screen. It just doesn't make sense to me. But, you know, Hades, from what I've been told by other people, is fascinating. The indie gamer loves it.
Mhm.
And I think that it's a pretty good game from what I've heard, and some of the streams I've seen of it as well. Looked really good fun. And it's got a really good story, deep story, so that always helps.
Garrett, would you be excited if Hades came to Game Pass?
Sorry, muted again. Actually a little bit, because I did look into it after we were doing the whole little Game Awards prediction show, because I don't know if you guys remember. I was like, I don't know what to say about this game. But like I did look at it a bit, so I was like, that could actually be pretty cool. I would love to see it on the Xbox, but yeah, that's my 2 cents. I can't make an educated guess, but it looks fancy.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, I can't complain if it comes on Game Pass. If not, I really I wouldn't care too much. I have it on the Switch already purchased, so it does no harm done. But if more people can get their hands on it, definitely a fun roguelike or roguelite, whatever that one you can consider that one into. But yeah, it's a really good game, good story, and visuals are. I love the visuals as well. And they made great games in the past, like Bastion. So good things from this developer. And Killer Instinct, we're not just gonna walk over that. Killer Instinct is
Soul Calibur's better.
It's a different kind of game. Soul Calibur is like an arena fighter where you can like get the ring outs. It's more like Virtual Fighter, for example. You can put those two in the same arc, but not Killer Instinct. It's a more fast-paced fighter, and I would put it more in line like Mortal Kombat. I would love to see a new Killer Instinct. I think Microsoft having a revival of like a good fighting franchise, it can do well. I feel like Killer Instinct they let die way too early. Again, it wasn't. I feel like the game also has some fundamental issues as well that really hindered it in the competitive scene. But if they can make a new game and keep it at the standards of what current fighters are, I would love to see a new Killer Instinct.
I don't have high hopes for Killer Instinct. I feel like the IP died so quickly that they might be hesitant to bring it back. Certainly, if they're like, hey, we redid everything and they can show that the game is actually going to be a good, competitively viable fighting game, because for fighting games, it really is. If you don't get the FGC on board, then your game is probably not going to survive. So that's all the rumors I have for this week. We didn't have any viewer questions, unfortunately, this week. If you guys want to tweet us some viewer questions for next week, follow us on Twitter at Project Xtalk, or check the link up in the video outline and in the description down below for our Discord. You can come on in, chat with us, ask some questions for next time. I want to thank Lupa for being here, a great guest. I really appreciate you coming on, filling this fourth slot for us this week. If you want to shout out where everyone can find you.
You can find me at Assassin Looper on Twitter, and Assassin Looper is my gamer tag. If you want a game, I'll catch you all gaming.
Everyone go drop her a follow. She is very active on Twitter. Tom, where can we find you?
You guys can find me on Twitter at Chronicle Tom.
And Garrett.
You could find me on Gamertag and Twitter, both Wayworn-G. And yeah, happy gaming and talk about pretty much anything.
And I'm Kevin at the Muffinmon 1 and 7I. It's my gamertag and Twitter. So come over, drop me a follow, and we can chat about games or play on Xbox. I want to thank everyone again for checking us out, and see you next week.
Bye.
Peace out.